The silence of Earth spread across the galaxy like a shadow. No ships. No messages. No trade routes. Only that strange encrypted signal, still undecoded, still repeating. Alien councils gathered again. This time their voices were louder, more arrogant. One council leader slammed his clawed hand against the table. Enough of this nonsense. Humans are finished. They hide because they are weak. Their silence is nothing but surrender. The chamber filled with laughter. Some pounded the table, mocking Earth as a failed world. They have no fleets, shouted another. Their weapons are old. Their technology is outdated. They cannot stand against real empires. Others joined in, calling humans cowards, saying Earth had run out of courage. But not everyone laughed. In the corners of the room, diplomats and spies exchanged nervous glances. They had heard the signal too. They had felt the strange chill that came with it. The laughter of the councils could not erase the truth. Something was wrong. Across the stars, people whispered about the signal. Traders swore they heard words hidden inside the noise. Soldiers said the sound carried a weight, like a warning that pressed against their hearts. But no one could prove it. No one could translate it. The mockery continued. Alien news channels played endless jokes about humans. Artists painted pictures of Earth as a dead rock. Songs mocked human bravery, calling it nothing but myth. The galaxy believed the lie, because the truth was too frightening. Far away in a crowded military outpost, a young alien recruit asked his commander, "Why do we laugh? Why do we joke? If humans are gone, why are we still afraid?" The commander gave no answer. His eyes were fixed on the stars. He had fought humans once long ago and he remembered their fire. Meanwhile, fleets gathered near Earth's borders. Great empires wanted to prove their strength. They wanted to show the galaxy that silence was weakness. One powerful fleet commander raised his voice before his soldiers. "We will march to Earth. We will burn their cities. And we will return with proof that humans are no threat." His soldiers cheered, but their voices shook. They had heard the broadcast too. They had felt its weight. The commander ignored it. He ordered his fleet to move. Hundreds of ships cut through the dark, engines glowing, weapons armed. As they entered the silent zone around Earth, all signals died. Communications failed. Scanners flickered. It was as if the void itself swallowed their voices. The crew grew nervous. The commander shouted, "Stay strong. It is nothing but human tricks. They are weak." But the silence pressed harder. And then the signal returned. Louder. Clear. It spread through every ship, shaking the walls, rattling the hearts of the crew. This time the broadcast had changed. The encrypted layers shifted like a lock turning open. Still no translation, but the sound itself felt alive. Some crew screamed. Others covered their ears, though no ears could block it. The commander shouted, "Ignore it. Forward." The fleet pushed on. Hours later, a trader ship waiting at the border saw a flash. Then another. Then hundreds of lights across the dark sky. Explosions lit the void. And then, nothing. The fleet was gone. No distress calls. No survivors. No wreckage drifting in the dark. Only silence. The trader ship turned and fled, carrying the story back to the galaxy. When the councils heard the news, they refused to believe it. "Lies?" shouted one leader. "The fleet must have run away." But spies confirmed the truth. The fleet had entered Earth's silent zone, and vanished. Still the councils mocked. They laughed louder, though fear twisted their laughter into something hollow. "They destroyed themselves," one leader insisted. "It is their own mistake." But in the shadows, whispers grew stronger. People no longer believed the laughter. They believed the fear. Days later, the broadcast spread again. This time it reached every empire, every colony, every ship. It was no longer just a broken sound. It was a voice. A human voice. Distorted but clear enough to understand. The words repeated again and again. "This silence is not surrender." The galaxy froze. What did it mean? Why were the humans silent? The councils could not answer. Their laughter died. Because deep inside, everyone understood the truth. Earth was not broken. Earth was waiting. And whatever they were waiting for, was coming. The galaxy had mocked. The galaxy had laughed. But the laughter ended the moment the human voice spoke through the stars. "This silence is not surrender." Those 5 words echoed in every system. No one knew how the broadcast reached so far so fast. No empire admitted to carrying it, no signal towers could explain it. Yet the words were everywhere, burned into the ears of every ruler, every soldier, every child. The silence of Earth was no longer a mystery. It was a threat. Alien councils met again, but this time the halls were heavy. No loud laughter. No pounding of fists on the table. Instead, voices were hushed, nervous, afraid. One leader leaned forward, eyes sharp. The human fleet destroyed ours. We have no proof of survivors. This is no accident. Another banged the table. It is impossible. Humans have no such power. They are only one planet. One world. They cannot destroy hundreds of ships. But the room knew better. Whispers spread through the chamber. Everyone remembered the ancient stories, the old wars. Humanity had always fought with fire in their eyes. Humanity had always survived against impossible odds. One diplomat spoke softly, almost whispering. Perhaps we were wrong to laugh. Perhaps their silence is not weakness. Perhaps it is preparation. The chamber grew silent. Across the galaxy, ordinary people lived in fear. On a mining colony, workers paused their drills when the broadcast played again. One miner dropped his tools and whispered, "Did you hear it? It sounds closer this time." On a trading hub, merchants argued about closing routes near Earth. "It is too dangerous," one cried. "Ships go in and never come out. The silence eats them." On a far-off farming world, children sat by the fire and whispered, "The humans are coming." Fear spread faster than light. In a secret chamber deep within an alien capital, a group of scientists gathered. They studied the broadcast layer by layer. For weeks they had tried to decode it. For weeks they failed. But now something shifted. One scientist shouted, "Stop. Listen. The signal is not broken. It is designed this way." The others leaned closer. The encryption was not random, it was deliberate. The voice was wrapped in layers of codes that opened only when the time was right. After hours of work, they cracked a piece of it. Only a fragment. The words appeared on their screens. "This silence is the beginning." The scientists froze. One dropped his tool. Another whispered, "The beginning of what?" They stared at the glowing words in silence. None dared to speak the answer. When the council received the report, panic shook the chamber. "This is war," shouted one leader. "Humans are preparing for war." But another leader hissed, "How?" "We watched them. Their fleets are small. Their weapons are old. Their world is weak." A diplomat whispered, "Maybe that is what they wanted us to see." The chamber fell into chaos. Some demanded a full invasion of Earth before it was too late. Others begged for peace, terrified of what silence might be hiding. But no agreement came. Only fear. Meanwhile, stories spread of strange sightings. A patrol ship swore it saw shadows moving near the edges of their scanners. Shapes too large to be asteroids, too silent to be normal ships. A refugee convoy told of being guided through dangerous space by unseen forces, saved from pirates by invisible weapons that destroyed enemies without warning. One captain swore he saw a fleet in the distance, dark, massive ships that had no lights, no signals, no banners. They vanished before he could call for help. Every story pointed back to Earth. The people no longer trusted their rulers. They no longer believed the council's words of mockery. In taverns, in markets, in streets, whispers grew. The humans are not gone. They are building something. They are waiting. And each time the broadcast repeated, fear grew stronger. One night, in a grand council meeting, an old warrior stood up. His scars ran deep, his voice heavy with memory. "I fought humans once," he said. "We thought them weak then too. We thought their small armies could be crushed. But they fought like no others. They turned every loss into fire. They turned every wound into rage. If they are silent now, it is not because they are broken. It is because they are ready." The chamber fell silent. No one argued. For the first time, the galaxy looked at Earth not as a joke, not as a dead world, but as a storm waiting to rise. The broadcast came again, stronger, sharper. The voice whispered across the stars, cold and steady. "You laughed at our silence. Soon you will understand it." The councils trembled. Because now no one was laughing. The galaxy had mocked. Then it had feared. Now it began to tremble. The human broadcast still echoed across the stars. Sometimes clear, sometimes broken, always heavy. No one could stop it. No one could trace its source. It came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Alien councils met in secret chambers. They argued, they shouted, but they found no answer. One leader slammed his fist on the table. "Enough waiting. We cannot sit here in fear. If humans are preparing for war, then we must strike first. We will send our strongest fleet. We will crush Earth before they rise." Others nodded, though their voices shook. They remembered what happened to the first fleet, the one that had vanished in silence. But pride was louder than fear. Pride demanded action. Soon the order was given. A fleet unlike any other gathered near Earth's border. Thousands of ships. Titans with guns the size of cities. Carriers filled with fighters. Cruisers with shields strong enough to stop suns. It was the largest force ever sent against one planet. The commanders spoke with arrogance. We will burn Earth. We will end this fear. We will erase their silence from the galaxy. The soldiers cheered, but deep in their hearts, unease lingered. As the fleet entered human space, the silence grew heavier. Communications faltered. Scanners flickered. Lights dimmed. On the bridge of the flagship, the commander growled, "Do not be fooled. This is human trickery. Forward." The fleet pushed deeper. And then the signal came. It was louder than ever. It filled every ship, every mind. The human voice echoed again. This silence is not surrender. It is judgment. The words froze the crews. Some soldiers screamed. Others prayed. But the commander shouted, "Ignore it." Weapons ready. Weapons locked onto Earth. The countdown to fire began. 10, 9, 8. And then shadows moved. From the darkness of space, shapes appeared. Ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They had no lights, no signals, no banners. They moved like ghosts, silent and swift. One soldier gasped, "What are those?" Another whispered, "They are human ships." The hidden fleet had awakened. The alien commander roared, "Fire!" Beams of light and missiles filled the void, but the human ships did not fall. They did not even flinch. They moved through the storm like shadows slipping through water. Then they answered. The first shot came with no warning. A single beam of energy tore through an alien cruiser, splitting it in half. No sound. No flash. Just destruction. The second shot erased an entire squadron of fighters. They vanished in silence as if space itself had swallowed them. The alien fleet panicked. Orders were shouted, but the voices cracked. Ships fired wildly, but every shot missed. The human fleet moved with precision like hunters in the dark. One by one, alien warships exploded. Carriers burned. Titans shattered. Entire formations collapsed. The silence was broken only by the screams of dying crews. On the flagship, the commander's hands shook. His screens showed chaos. Thousands of ships falling, destroyed by weapons no one understood. These are not human ships," he whispered. "This is something else." But then the broadcast returned louder than ever. The human voice said, "We asked for peace. You gave us war. Now you will see what silence builds." The commander froze. His crew stared at him, eyes wide with terror. And then the flagship's hull cracked apart, torn open by a single silent strike. The greatest fleet in the galaxy was gone. When news reached the councils, panic erupted. "It is impossible," some screamed. "They cannot defeat such power," others cried. But the reports were clear. The fleet was destroyed. Not crippled. Not damaged. Erased. Worse, there was no wreckage. No survivors. Nothing left. It was as if the human fleet had not fought with weapons, but with silence itself. Whispers swept across the galaxy. On colonies, people whispered, "The humans have a hidden weapon." On stations, soldiers murmured, "No fleet can stand against them." In the dark, leaders confessed to themselves, "We have doomed ourselves." The councils no longer laughed. They no longer mocked. They could not. Because the truth was undeniable now. Earth had built something in their silence. Something the galaxy could not understand. Something the galaxy could not stop. In the shadows of their fear, the broadcast returned once more. This time the words were clear. You thought silence meant weakness. But silence is the weapon you will never escape. The galaxy trembled. Because now they knew, Earth had not been silent out of fear. Earth had been silent because they were preparing to end the galaxy's pride. And the war had only just begun. The galaxy had seen wars before. Empires had clashed, fleets had burned, worlds had fallen. But never like this. The destruction of the greatest fleet was more than defeat. It was erasure. Thousands of ships gone, swallowed by silence. No wreckage. No survivors. Nothing left to study, nothing left to learn from. The galaxy shook with fear. Alien councils met again, but this time the chambers were filled with chaos. One leader screamed, "We must form an alliance. Humans are too strong. Alone we will fall." Another shouted back, "No. If we bow to them we are already slaves. We must fight." Voices overlapped, shouts turned to screams, fists pounded against tables. Some demanded surrender. Others demanded war. None had answers. And through it all, the broadcast played again and again. This silence is not surrender. It is judgment. Every time the words echoed, the chambers grew quieter. Fear smothered pride. Across colonies and stations, panic spread. On a crowded trading world, markets shut down. Merchants fled, leaving goods behind. One trader whispered, "Why trade when tomorrow the humans may take everything?" On a mining colony, workers refused to go into the tunnels. "What's the point?" one asked. "If humans can destroy fleets in seconds, what chance do we have?" On a far-off city world, people filled the streets, demanding answers from rulers who had none. Protesters shouted, "Why did you mock them? Why did you bring this war on us?" The galaxy itself was beginning to turn against its leaders. Meanwhile, stories poured in of strange sightings. A patrol ship swore it saw a human vessel watching from the edge of a star system. When they approached, it vanished. A refugee convoy claimed they were guided through pirate territory by invisible weapons. Pirates destroyed in silence before they could strike. One soldier told his family he saw the shadows of human warships moving like ghosts across the void. "They were everywhere," he whispered. "And yet nowhere." The fear grew heavier with every story. In hidden chambers, scientists worked day and night to decode the broadcast. They stripped away layer after layer of encryption. And finally they revealed more words. "This silence is not the end. It is the beginning of yours." The scientists froze. None spoke for a long time. When the council saw the translation, terror spread through the hall. "This is extermination," whispered one leader. "No," said another, voice shaking. "This is vengeance." Some rulers begged for peace. They sent desperate messages into the void, pleading with Earth, promising surrender, offering tribute. No reply came. Only silence. Others gathered their fleets again, hoping numbers could bring safety. They joined forces, creating alliances that had never existed before. Enemies became allies overnight, united by fear of humans. But it was already too late. Every time a fleet entered human space, it disappeared. Every time a colony prepared for defense, it went dark. The humans struck without warning, without mercy, without sound. No battle was recorded. No black boxes were found. Only silence remained. Whispers turned to truths. "The humans are not fighting battles," people said. "They are erasing them." On one world, a child asked his father, "Why don't the humans speak to us? Why don't they tell us what they want?" The father looked to the sky, fear in his eyes. "Because they already told us. We didn't listen." The child whispered, "What did they say?" The father's voice was heavy as he answered, "They asked for peace." In a dark corner of the galaxy, an old warrior told a story. He had fought humans long ago before the silence. He remembered their eyes, filled with fire. He remembered their voices, filled with stubborn will. "Humans do not stop," he said. "Even when broken they fight. Even when dying they rise. If they are silent now, it is because they have chosen the time of war. And when they choose, no empire can escape." The listeners sat in silence, afraid to breathe. The broadcast came again. But this time, it reached every world, every station, every ship at once. The human voice was calm, cold, unstoppable. "You gave us war when we asked for peace. Now we give you silence, and silence is death." People screamed when they heard it. Leaders tried to hide their fear, but their faces betrayed them. Soldiers trembled, their weapons shaking in their hands. Because this was not just a warning anymore. This was a countdown. Across the stars, shadows moved. Human fleets, silent and dark, began to emerge from the void. Some were seen above colonies. Some drifted near trade hubs. Some hovered at the edge of capital systems. And then they vanished again without a trace. The galaxy no longer laughed. It no longer mocked. Now it only waited. Waited for the silence to end.
The galaxy was no longer laughing. The councils, once filled with arrogant voices, now sat in silence. Entire fleets had burned in the void, and still, no one understood the full truth of Earth's silence. Rumors spread like fire. Some said Earth was hiding a secret weapon. Others whispered that Earth was no longer human at all, that they had become something greater, something beyond. No proof existed. Only fragments of destroyed fleets and broken stations told the story. Then it came, the final broadcast. It appeared suddenly across every channel, every frequency, every star system at once. Alien rulers gasped as their personal devices crackled alive. Soldiers on distant fronts froze as their helmets filled with a human voice. Traders dropped their cargo as screens lit with words and languages they did not even know they understood. It was Earth. The voice was calm, steady, filled with the weight of something ancient. You thought silence was weakness. You thought our world was broken. But silence was preparation. The councils trembled. No translator was needed. The voice reached straight into every mind, every heart, as if the humans had chosen not just to speak, but to be heard. You burned our colonies. You mocked our people. You believed humanity would fade away. But you were wrong. We endured. We rebuilt. And now, you have doomed yourselves. Across the galaxy, alien fleets began to malfunction. Ships powered down, engines failed, weapons jammed. In one empire, orbital defenses turned against their own masters. In another, food supplies shut down, entire systems collapsing in panic. The broadcast was not just words. It was a weapon. Encrypted for years, hidden inside Earth silence. The humans had built a signal unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It was not an attack on ships, not a strike against soldiers. It was a strike against control itself. AI systems failed. Databases were rewritten. Navigation collapsed. Empires that had mocked Earth now screamed as their own machines betrayed them. The galaxy had always thought humans were weak because they were late to the stars. But humans had learned something the others had forgotten. Silence hides power. The voice continued. We will not rule you. We will not enslave you. But we will no longer allow you to burn our worlds. This is your warning and your punishment. The stars you thought belonged to you are now dark. And then, as suddenly as it began, the broadcast ended. Darkness followed. Entire regions of space went quiet. No signals, no commands, no fleets. For the first time, the alien rulers understood true fear. Not because of weapons, but because of the unknown. What else were the humans hiding? How much deeper did their silence go? Some empires tried to rebuild. Others begged for peace. A few went mad, destroying themselves in panic. And through it all, Earth remained unseen, unheard. No fleets left orbit. No colonies answered calls. No new messages came. The galaxy whispered a single question. Are the humans even still there? But in the silence, every empire remembered the voice. You've doomed yourselves, and none dared to test if the warning was true. Earth had become more than a world. Earth had become a shadow, a fear, a silence that no fleet, no weapon, no empire could escape. The last broadcast was not only deadly, it was eternal.
The galaxy heard nothing from Earth. No signals, no ships, no movement in space. For decades, Earth had always spoken, always traded, always answered. But now, silence. Alien councils sat in great halls across the stars. They laughed at the quiet. To them it was proof. Proof that humans were broken. Proof that Earth had finally given up. One council leader raised his voice and mocked. The humans are finished. Their little planet is weak. They have no fleets, no empires, no strength. The other leaders laughed, their voices echoing through chambers filled with pride. But not everyone laughed. Out in the dark space lanes, traders whispered a different story. Some swore they had heard something strange. A broken signal. A last broadcast. A voice from Earth that carried through the void like a ghost. Nobody could understand the words. The signal was too twisted, too encrypted. Yet the feeling it gave was clear, dark, heavy, unsettling. The whispers spread in the markets, in the alleys, in the shadows of the galaxy. Why did Earth go silent? What are they hiding? Suspicion grew, but the great empires dismissed it. They believed silence meant weakness. They believed humans had nothing left. One alien commander stood before his fleet and laughed. We will march to Earth. We will see for ourselves. And when we return, we will bring proof of their weakness. His soldiers cheered, but in their eyes, a hint of fear lingered. Because even the bravest remembered human history. Humans were strange. They were stubborn. They were dangerous when cornered. Many old battles told this story, but the galaxy had forgotten. Now silence filled the stars. In one lonely sector, a trader ship caught a strange pulse on its scanners. The crew froze. It was the same signal others had spoken about. The same haunting broadcast. It repeated over and over, hidden inside layers of encryption. No translation worked. No machine could break it. One young crew member whispered, "Maybe it is not meant to be understood." Maybe it is meant to be feared. The captain tried to laugh it off, but the chill in the room was heavy. Soon more ships reported the same thing. The signal was everywhere. It bounced across systems, riding on the edges of communication networks. A message without meaning but filled with purpose. Alien councils gathered again. Some were angry. Some were nervous. It is just broken technology, one leader said. The humans are gone. This is only the last echo of a dead world. But another leader frowned. No, echoes do not grow stronger. This broadcast is not fading. It is spreading. The debate grew louder. Some demanded action. Some demanded silence. But no one had answers. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, people began to fear the dark. Every ship that passed near Earth felt it. The silence was not peaceful. It was heavy. It was waiting. Children of distant colonies whispered stories at night. They said Earth was building something. They said humans had vanished into their silence because they were preparing. A soldier in one far-off barracks told his friend, "I fought against humans once. They never stop fighting. If they are quiet now, then something is wrong. Something is coming." The silence grew louder than words. In the last hours of the cycle, the encrypted signal changed. It spread further, faster, stronger. Whole systems caught it at once. Fleets froze as the sound echoed through their comms. No one could decode it. No one could explain it. But everyone felt it. A warning. A promise. A shadow of war. And then, the galaxy realized the truth. Earth had not broken. Earth had not surrendered. Earth was waiting. The last line of Part 1 ends with tension. A mysterious encrypted signal moved through the stars, unstoppable and unknown. The galaxy stood in silence, afraid to ask, "What comes next?"